So before 1972, I just put in place a series of economic and political measures to make sure that Cameroon should be changed from federal to unitary.
Now, let us stay there. I wanted us to go back to this later in the program, but since you guys are already into it, now when parties were asked to dissolve in West Cameroon in favor of a Grand National Party, the CNU, that was in 1966, what were the politicians in West Cameroon thinking? Did the House of Assembly, West Cameroon House of Assembly, was it dissolved? It was still existing. Are you saying that they had no past? There was also the House of Chiefs.
Let me focus, first of all, before the dissolution of the three political parties, I think it was three, the KNDP, which was created in 1955 under ANGLOPHONES, the CPNC of Ndeli, it was first KNC, but when he merged with another political party called KPP on Bile, it becomes CPNC, who were advocating for integration with Nigeria. So you have the KNDP of Foncha, you have the CPNC of Mr. Ndeli, and you have the CUC of a man called Solomon Tademona, who was created in 1965. So there were three key political parties in the state of West Cameroon before that 1966. Mr. Lo, it was very easy for Ajo to dissolve all the political parties. That of West Cameroon, that the party of West Cameroon, it was very easy for Ajo that for them for the party to dissolve. In West Cameroon, there was what was known as political infighting between political parties of West Cameroon.
Okay, we're going to be looking at that. Let us look at the reasons that were advanced for the abrogation of federation in Cameroon. We know that there are economic, financial, political. Yes, those are the reasons that were advanced. Let us look at the economic reasons. It was considered that it was very expensive because at the time they had the Federal Assembly, the East Cameroon House of Assembly, there was the West Cameroon House of Chiefs, and yes, and then we had the federal government, we had the East Cameroon government, we had the West Cameroon government. It was also considered that we have duplication of services. That is, we had federal government, West Cameroon government, East Cameroon government, West Cameroon Assembly, East Cameroon Assembly, then the Federal Assembly, and then we had the House of Chiefs.
I think we're talking the history of Cameroon. I keep saying on platform that I'd always like to give historical analysis of Cameroon as a researcher in this field and not a politician.
Yeah.
We should always try to differentiate between politicians and researchers.
There are two politicians on this platform, Difo and...
No, I'm not talking here as a politician.
So
to get present the facts as they are.
Yes, I think before I go further, this issue of federation being expensive and influence the advocation of the abolition is historically it can be proven that federation was expensive. The one of Cameroon.
Okay,
Historically, that was say we are not politicians.
Okay.
Yeah. On the 12th of May 1970, in 1972, a critic of Ayejo's regime, a veteran journalist called Sam Liga, he advised Cameroonians that federation is expensive, and it is very clear that it was expensive. That within the context of Cameroon, you were calling as you did not specify. There were 4 assemblies in Cameroon.
Okay.
East Cameroon House of Assembly, 100 members. Federal House of Assembly, Yaoundé, 50 members. West Cameroon House of Assembly, 37 members. West Cameroon House of Chiefs, 26. Giving a total of more than 213 member deputies that live on state budget. Not to take off the government, the federal government in Yaoundé, the East Cameroon government in Yaoundé, and the West Cameroon government in Boya. Just a historical fact that federation was expensive for a third world country like Cameroon to run that heavy decision. Now let me come. I still want to look on this issue again. We talk about this issue of economy of West Cameroon as my other learned colleague, Mr. Dr. Ntifo, was talking of. It is clear that West Cameroon had its own financial challenges. They had their own financial weakness that were exploited or used by the federal government. But there were institutions in West Cameroon that were mismanaged by West Cameroon themselves. That I always like that we limit within federation, because there are things that we want to go here. to look within Anglophone, we discovered that we play a part in the closure of Federation in 1972.
Okay.
Ajo had a part to play, Frank had a part to play, West Cameroon had a part to play. That Federation should be dissolved on the 20th of May 1972. Sometimes we go emotional, only blaming Ajo, only blaming the government, French government.
What institutions existed?
For example, there was a bank in West Cameroon known as the West Cameroon Bank. It was in charge of payment of civil servants in West Cameroon. It was in charge of payment of civil servants in West Cameroon. It was directly under the government of West Cameroon and not under the federal government in Yaoundé. But Mr. Leo, one of the reasons why this West Cameroon had financial difficulties and finally unable to pay civil servants was because of mismanagement by West Cameroonian, not by the government of Mr. Ajo. It is very clear, history states very clear that they had a very poor way of lending money, borrowing money. Sometimes they can borrow money to an individual to pay it after 89 years. Those are historical facts. It is very clear. Now, in 1966, as my fellow colleague Mr. Ndifo was saying, in 1966, this particular bank was unable to pay civil servants in West Cameroon. But, Mr. Leonard, it's very clear that by 1972, 60% of West Cameroonians who supported the Ajo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary were civil servants. By 1966, the per capita income of West Cameroon civil servants. By 1966, the per capita income of West Cameroon civil servants was 19,000 francs. To East Cameroon was 46,000 francs per capita income. So I just want to play the issue of this financial economic crisis in West Cameroon. Now, because of this, I'll take an example for this institution known as West Cameroon Bank. That although we are talking about Ajo playing his own maneuver to weaken the West Cameroon economy, but West Cameroon themselves also contribute to the weakness of West Cameroon economy. The example with this bank that was managed by West Cameroonian, and we were able to take care of civil servants in West Cameroon. That is why he was giving mention that the federal government in 1960 had to give there was in 1966 Augustine Gonjua called for a commission under the Charter Commission, the Chartered Accountant of West Cameroon Bank, and Joki Manga. Joki Manga give an analysis, making it clear that more than 320 million francs is nowhere to be accounted for. I've given on loans to the very West Cameroonian, not to the French Cameroonian. So I just want to elaborate on this because there are some certain weaknesses that within federation that within the closure of unity state that we always like to shift blame to the president of Amada Ajo. He had a part to play. He played 60% of it. But within West Cameroonian themselves, senior barrister, we also play a part in the closure of the the federal federation in 1972. And Mr. Lowe, I would remain again within there's a hidden motive that we hardly bring it out for the closure of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. One of the hidden economic motives was the discovery of large deposits of crude oil in West Cameroon at Cape Limbo. That was Victoria, present day to the limit. Those are the hidden historical motives, that economic motive why Federation was closed in 1972 to introduce unitary. In August 1964, a large deposit of crude oil was discovered at Cape Limbo in Victoria. With the discovery of this large deposit of crude oil or petrol, it became a threat. It started proving that West Cameroon will become economically viable, and by nature had it. When people are economically viable, they don't depend on somebody again. The truth about the discovery of this petrol in West Cameroon is that I just started having that belief with the influence of France that should Cameroon remain federation, it is very easy that tomorrow West Cameroon will say that they want to break away because they would tap oil they will start having, they will become very wealthy or rich because of the oil from discovering West Cameroon, and because of that wealthy or because being rich now, they will not want to depend on the federal government, or they might say that they want to quit the union. And it's very clear that in the 1960s, most independent African states, areas where they were threatening to secede or to break away, with areas that were rich in resources. I have learned a lot of lessons. Example, in the 1960s, it was not only West Cameroon with oil. In Southern Africa, there was a country called Congo. When she had independence, a part of Congo was rich in copper, and that influenced the people of that Katanga region to advocate that they want to have their independence and be free and be on their own, only because they were rich in copper. That I just learned a lesson from that. Coming back to Nigeria again, that she also had independence in 1960, and because the eastern part of Nigeria were rich in oil resources, it also making them to also fight to create their own state known as the state of Biafra. So I think this issue of oil that was discovered in West Cameroon in 1964, on one of the economic motives that also influenced for the creation of unity state, because it was clear that if unity state is created,
Okay.
The West Cameroon will not control. West Cameroon government will not control oil resources, but the federal government in Yaoundé under unity state.
Okay. We are looking at politically. You are a politician. How did the politicians themselves contribute or assist President Amadou Ahidjo to abrogate this federal structure? Now we have existing political parties in Cameroon. Are we saying that because the constitution of Cameroon gives very greater powers to the President of the Republic, the opposition parties like Frundi, Kawalas, and the rest are so powerless? Is that what we are saying here?
Well, Leonard,
yeah, because I want us to look at. My question to you is how politicians contributed in accompanying President Amadou Ahidjo to establish this. You cited some of the political parties that existed. The essence of this program is for people to, because when you are talking, there are students who are writing the GC. They know you are. Thanks to you, I'm hearing about Mbile and the party, Estimuna and the party. Those are the politicians. Are we saying that they were so helpless?
Well, Leonard, you see, again, when I mentioned to you that it becomes very difficult to talk about the events of 1972
without going back,
going a little bit back to look at the things that happened moving up to 1972. And one of the events which marked which contributed to the abolition of the federal system of government was the formation of the CNU, of the one-party state. And I'm sure you want to understand the maneuvers that happened among those different politicians leading up to the formation of that one-party state that now gave Ahidjo that power.
The leeway, yes.
To be able to do that. Now, you realize that before then there was a lot of infighting. There was a lot of fighting within southern Cameroonian politicians. There was that conflict. The opposition in Delhi, the KNDP political party, because Ndele had the opposition CPNC, and then of the ruling KNDP party, and at the same time we had Estimuna's CUC, Cameroon United Congress, which he founded after the conflict within the KNDP. And so these different political parties, the political leaders, they were at each other's throat, and each one wanting to, given the kind of powers that Ahidjo had accumulated for himself in Fuman, the Cameroonian politicians were now relying on him. They knew that each one of them, pretty much like what is happening today, everybody wants to gain favor from Biya, and everybody wants to act in ways that Biya will see him as that person,
nice guy.
Good, as the nice person, as the person who is aligned with him.
Yeah, but I'm not sure nobody says doing that.
Yeah, what came from Fuman? I want to please clear the air. What was what came from Fuman?
Yeah, so I don't understand the barrister. No, well, what?
When is the document that came from Fuman that gave Ahidjo powers?
Well, that is the thing. The
federal was signed in Fuman.
Well, even if nothing was signed in Fuman or whatever, at the end of the day, there was a constitution.
From Fuman, nothing.
We don't care whether it's from Fuman.
After Fuman,
it may not exactly. And so, but there was a constitution that came out after Fuman. I agree with you.
That constitution came before Fuman. It came from Boya to Bamenda to Fuman.
But that is not the basis of the discussion, Senior Barrister.
I just wanted to clear the air.
Yeah, no. What I want us to understand is that there was a constitution. We are not talking about where the constitution came from, whether it came from Fuman, whether it came from Boya, or it came from Yaoundé. But there was a constitution.
There was a project, sir.
No, let us agree here.
A project.
There was a federal constitution.
No, sir. There was a
which
project.
You yourself have shared with us here. These are the constitution.
Mr. Kun, please.
All right. So let me make my point to the logical conclusion. So with that federal constitution, it gives enormous power to Ahidjo. No. And with that power that Ahidjo had, the different politicians in southern Cameroon, each one of them were trying to gain favor. And so when Ahidjo cooked up this scheme of wanting to create a grand national party, where all other political parties had to be dissolved. The first thing that happened was that Foncha first of all proposed that let us first in southern Cameroon dissolve all our political parties and fuse it into the KNDP, which was the ruling political party, and then we use the KNDP to negotiate with Ahidjo and then create a single political party, which would mean that the KNDP and the CNU or the CU, Ahidjo's political party was the CU at the time. The CU, they now merged to form now whatever party they would have formed, if it's the CNU or whatever. But endly, the opposition leader opposed, just like Muna opposed, that, oh no, we should all dissolve our political parties and then a single political party should be created. The idea of us fusing our political parties into one should not come up. All right? So there was that disagreement among them that Ahidjo exploited to his benefit. And so therefore, when he dissolved all of these political parties and now created the one political party that existed.
No. 1961.
1966. No, that was when the political parties was.
1961. There are political parties that existed and made convinced Cameroonians that we are voting to join. We are getting independence by joining. Exactly. This one that was the integration with Nigeria. Now you have been given the mandate by the people.
Exactly.
And in 1966, you are agreeing to dissolving your parties.
Political parties.
Yes. Were the people consulted?
Of course, no. They were not. There was no consultation made at the level of maybe reaching out to the people. I don't know if some kind of education was made for the people, or sensitization to let the people know that this is where we are heading to, or all of that. All we know is that Ahidjo, during the Congress of the CU, of the Cameroon, Union Cameroon, UC, sorry, UC or CU, Union Cameroon, during that Congress, he announced his intention of wanting Cameroon to have a single political party that will carry the vision of Cameroon and move Cameroon forward. That was the idea he brought up. And what I'm saying is that he consulted Southern Cameroonian politicians on the issue. He consulted them on the issue. And when he consulted them on the issue, Foncha, who was now the leader in Southern Cameroon, or in West Cameroon, who was the premier in West Cameroon, and whose party was the ruling party in West Cameroon, said, okay, now that the president said we should now have a single political party, my idea is that we all who come from West Cameroon, we should all fuse our political parties into one party, so that there is one party that left West Cameroon, and then negotiate with East Cameroon, and then fuse it to have a single political party. But because of, as I explained, because of the political maneuvering that was happening at the time, with each one wanting favor from Ahidjo, these politicians saw it as if it was Foncha wanting to present his face before Ahidjo and keeping them aside. And so they say, oh no, what we should do is that we all dissolved our political party and let that one political party that Ahidjo wants to create
absorb everybody.
Let him create that political party, and there should be no idea of us fusing into a single party in West Cameroon.
Why do we know very little about what politicians did to pave the way for the abrogation of the federal structure? Nobody's talking about, like you are explaining, that there was a maneuver where some school of thoughts wanted that they create a unified West Cameroonian party that negotiates for the creation of this Grand National Party. Why do we know very little about all of the intricacies that went through?
Mr. Leonard, it's just because when we are giving analysis about this creation of unity state, when we sit on the platform here, we keep all the time shifting blame to Ahidjo, shifting blame to France. Yeah, I keep repeating, it was not all about Ahidjo. It was not all about France. The team that was sent to do campaign in West Cameroon, they were not francophone among them. A language had the deciding team. Why Fonja and other headed the Northern team to go and do campaign that I quite remember that, Mr. Leonard, it was a certain Reverend Father Neighbor of St. Beat and a certain Stephen Guest in Fundum that they were arrested in that day because they were saying that people should vote for federation, not unitary. The real outstanding elite of West Cameroon, all of them were supporting Aejo that they should create a unitary state. And that's why I earlier said on the platform that we should stop. Let's say Aejo and Frank contributed 70%, but 30% were West Cameroonian themselves who contributed to the dissolution of the creation of federal. I can give historical analysis. Okay. The first set of West Cameroonians who massively supported Aejo that they should change Cameroon from federal to unitary were civil servants. Why? Their salary was always irregular and low as compared to civil salary in East Cameroon. And we have talked about the financial crisis of West Cameroon Bank that was unable to pay their salary regularly. That made them to believe that if we can support Aejo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary, we'll have a better and steady salary like civil servant in East Cameroon. That's the first set of people who supported, and they were Anglophones, West Cameroonian. The second set of West Cameroonian who also supported the creation of unity with the West Cameroon politicians themselves. Between 1963 and 1965, there was a crisis in West Cameroon known as the KNGP crisis. The infighting among West Cameroon politicians, at the end of the day, it became a situation within the KNGP from that 1963 to 1965. Some politicians like Estimuna left in 1965. He left KNGP and created his own party, now Cameroon United Congress. At the end of the day, by 1965, politicians in West Cameroon, there was that division, that hatred among politicians in West Cameroon to an extent that the only survivor was Aejo. So that anything Aejo said, they will say yes. So for this one, we are not blaming the West Cameroon politicians for their self-centeredness and self-interest, making them to support Aejo to create unity in 1972. The last class of people from West Cameroon, I like us to be looking at historically. I earlier said on this platform, I'm not the politicians. The last class of West Cameroonians who fully influenced and supported Aejo that Cameroon should be changed from federal to unitary were some elite of the then. It was formerly known as the Coastal and Forest region, today Southwest. Yes, some elite of the then former Coastal and Forest, today Southwest, they supported that Aejo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary, because under federation from 1961 to 1972, according to the argument of the politicians of the then Coastal and Forest, today Southwest, the tribalism that was in West Cameroon, the tribalism of the ruling KNGP party, was to an extent that I think there was a certain KNGP militant called Winker. Winker was dismissed simply because they saw him coming from Mr. Angeli's house only to make a call. The tribalism that perpetrated KNGP politicians in West Cameroon under Jongo Foncha, they were militant that could not know how to write their name, no read, but they would be appointed, put in position only because of their affiliation to KNGP. Because of that, some politicians of today, Southwest, formerly known as Coastal and Forest region, they started seeing that since the ruling party of KNGP, Foncha, which is from Del Grassfield to the Northwest, is only putting his tribesmen. That was historically clear. It's not politics. That the KNGP party have been putting only his tribesmen from the Grassfield, making these politicians of the Coastal and Forest region to start seeing that they are being marginalized. That is why a certain Waters Musombe created Vicoma. Victoria Kumamanfi. The reason why he created the Vicoma was to wanted to agree on how they can fight against the Grassfield domination under West Cameroon, under KNGP party. And I make it clear that although they were crying like that, the domination of Foncha and his tribalism on KNGP party was not only within the whole of Grassfield, it limited only within Mezam, making other politicians in the Grassfield region like Mr. Tamfo Nkambe and others to massively support the Endele, CPNC, for integration with Nigeria. That is why when you look at the plebiscite result, the majority of Nkambe voted for integration with Nigeria. And when they failed, they supported Endele to go to UN and asked that the part that voted for Nigeria should go there and be part of Nigeria. Okay. Yes, historically, you have even the Oroko, the Bafos, the Bakweris, and the Nkambe. They went back to UN. Well, I think we should create time for this to educate Cameroonian. And I'm saying like that because we look at these areas that there's some areas today in Northwest and Southwest that they hated reunification with all their blood, but today they are masters of reunification. In the 1960s, they were called recessionists, but today they are masters of reunification as far as this crisis is concerned. So I was just trying to bring it to say that we should know that West Cameroonian play a part in the closure of Unity in 1972. So what is that this West Cameroonian, this politician of Coastal and Forest region, according to the belief that Mr. Leonard, in 1972, if they create Unity State, they will create their own region. If they create their own region, they will free from grassroots domination. That was the simple truth about why that made them to support. So it is very clear that West Cameroon civil servant supported Aejo that they should create Unity State so that they will have better salary like East Cameroon civil servant. Secondly, self-centeredness, tribalism, and self-interest among West Cameroon politicians like Agustin Gomjua, like Solomon Tandemuna, like Foncha, interest for their own position, make them support Aejo for the creation of Unity State. And lastly, some elite of Coastal and Forest region, today Southwest, supported Aejo to create Unity State so that they will have their own region. That is why today, when we want to talk about one of the benefits of the creation of Unity State on West Cameroonian, is we say that it led to the creation of two regions, Northwest and Southwest, making the elite of, or the Coastal and Forest region to be free from Northwest domination, tension, and tribalism. Those are clear historical facts. Okay. They are not political or emotional politicians. I thought we are a researcher in the field.
It's misery. They came with fire. They came with guns. Now we they cry for our daughters and sons. Our village is burned, our people flee. We live in fear, no place to be. This one has come.
Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to this first edition of Prime Hour for the week on My Media Prime Hour TV. This evening we're going to be revisiting the celebrations of our National Day, the day that is dedicated to celebrate our unity as a nation. 20th of May was celebrated across
we go rise again with God. Hey, hey.